everybody. Welcome in. It's Longshore and McKnight, presented by Bud Light. Easy to drink, easy to enjoy in association with our good friends at Yellowhammer News. Well, it's Thanksgiving week. It's Iron Bowl week. And boy, one team might not be looking forward to the game on Saturday. I think another one can't wait to get on the road.
What a difference a weekend makes. Goodness, where do we start? An explanation on one of the most horrendous calls I've ever seen. A tip of the cap to Auburn. The question is, does Auburn, when's the last normal SEC win Auburn's gotten? What they haven't had many, a ton.
Oh, wow.
But goodness gracious, Auburn had the game, then gave up the lead late, then were able to get, piece together a drive to get some kid that they went Teapot Brown on him. Although they got him from the stands to kick the field goal. No, was it it was Otis Mounds.
Otis Mounds, yeah.
And end up, going for overtimes and winning the game. And now at 5-6, a win this Saturday on the road could get Auburn to, in the eyes of Alabama fan, the same tier bowl game, that Alabama is looking at,
Yeah, you're right about that. A college football playoff to the Camping World Bowl, all in about a 3-hour period. But yeah, boy, it was some great football around the entire country all day long. It was a great day to check out all the action. I mean, I had to go single box, I had to go double box, quad box every now and then. I mean, it was crazy on Saturday trying to keep up with everything. Took a little look at Indiana, Ohio State. Yeah, that one kind of played out as we thought. Notre Dame has gotten impressive. They can score a heck of a lot of points. I know their schedule hadn't been great, but it all centered on what happened with Auburn and Alabama. And, I got a whole legal patch. So just tell me when you want to start.
Well, my day on Saturday, obviously, I was in Lafayette, Louisiana with Troy football. Troy had a 14-7 lead at the end of the first quarter over Louisiana, but Cajuns had a 27-point second quarter. They led at halftime 34-14. Troy got it to within 7 on a monstrous drive, and then on the very next kickoff, kid runs it back 96 yards, and that was basically the ball game. Troy falls 51-30. They've got Southern Miss in the season finale on Saturday at 1:00 at the Vet. We got done with that, and we got a chance.
Flew back into Montgomery Regional Airport.
And I got to admit, it was a little longer taking off from Lafayette, and everybody had their phones out. Some of them were watching the Alabama game on their phone. Some of them were watching the Auburn game on their phones. And I got a chance. I saw Alabama's touchdown on Jerry Miller's phone sitting next to me in the airplane.
Whoa. And Alabama's touchdown.
Isn't that what I said? Yeah, Alabama's touchdown. Alabama's touchdown. And of course, I couldn't hear the play-by-play of it, but they're calling it back, and I'm thinking, what are they calling? And I'm thinking, was there holding? Was it? And they called, no, they called illegal touching. It wasn't illegal. It was illegal touching.
That usually happens in a bar after a game that Alabama wins, but
maybe it's a little more obvious.
Yeah, I guess so.
The game didn't come down to that.
Oh, no.
But, Alabama would have cut the lead to 24-10.
Well,
but it was a better chance. I still can't figure that one out.
And I know we're going to talk about that and a penalty in the Auburn game in detail
which
today
was bogus
as well. Mm-hmm. Barry, I do want to give a shout out to my niece who was on the chat room this morning. She lives in Huntsville. I'm going to see her in a couple of days. They're coming down for Thanksgiving and looking forward to seeing her and her little baby girl. Well, not a baby much any longer. I mean, she's certainly up there walking around and preschool and the whole deal. but they're all coming down. So I'm looking forward to that. And she wants to know what happened. And I'm going to tell her and everybody else. If you can sum it up in one word,
okay,
is the word pathetic. That is one of the most pathetic attempts at playing football by the University of Alabama football program that I've seen in a long, long time. I've been harping on this all season. The offense is limited. They are not creative. They continue to do the same things over and over and over. And as I said, after Alabama lost to Michigan in the Rose Bowl last year, this team cannot win a national championship with Jalen Milroe. I believed it then, I believe it today, and I believed it a couple of times during the season prior to Saturday night in Norman. They are limited. And why in the world they continue to run the exact same offense? They're depending on Milroe's feet. The running game is non-existent. If I'm a running back at Alabama, I can't get in the transfer portal quick enough. If I'm another wide receiver at Alabama, I can't get in the transfer portal quick enough. If I'm a tight end, I'm probably not going to the transfer portal because A, I can't throw a block, and B, I can't catch a pass. Ryan Williams and Jalen Milroe are not going to win football games by themselves, and it showed up Saturday night.
If you would have told me, and he didn't, but if you would have told me back in, I guess we do it in August, where we're picking games for Alabama, and you're thinking, Georgia maybe, Tennessee, and you told me, okay, Alabama is going to be 8-3 heading into the Iron Bowl. Pick the games that they're going to lose. I probably would have said Georgia, and they didn't.
Yeah.
I probably would have said Tennessee. I got to tell you, I would have gone a long way down the list before I would have picked Vanderbilt and Oklahoma.
Maybe LSU at home in the preseason. You probably would have thought that one as well.
See, it's not, it wouldn't have been the most shocking thing in the world. Barry, I'm here to tell you, Alabama is going to go to Norman and lose. I don't believe it, but maybe so. So it's not the biggest shocker that they go there and lose. John, it's the nature of the loss. 24-3, 3 points. They got outscored by 24 straight after I'd have never, ever thought the game would have gone like that.
Barry, a 5-5 football team, a 2-touchdown underdog at home. And I know they got a good defense. And then certainly, I think the game could have been very tight. But when your offense is so limited, so vanilla, so predictable, and once it starts going wrong, there seems to be no escape plan. Well, this isn't working, so we got to go to this. They just continue to try to do the same things over and over. We saw it in Nashville. We saw it in Knoxville. And really, is LSU any good? That win they had a couple of weeks ago, is that really that great now? It doesn't look that way. So I think there's been some smoke and mirrors with this Alabama team with some of the teams that they've beaten. I mean, they beat Missouri badly, but the quarterback hardly played in that game, if any. I think he played 2 or 3 series. The backup couldn't start at Jeff Davis. I mean, it was ridiculous. So you look back at some of these teams they've beaten, dodging a few bullets, not really good. And they got an Auburn team coming in sky high after a big win Saturday night, and an Auburn team that's been close a lot this year. Into the fourth quarter, really close.
Anybody just, and I'm not predicting anything. Alabama right now about an 11.5-point favorite. Anybody from the Alabama side of things looking at this Iron Bowl and seeing Hugh Freeze coming in and saying, we got this. There's something about Freeze to where he kind of has, if anybody has, figured out Alabama, although this is a different Alabama team. It's all of a sudden the Auburn fans who were dismissing this one and not even looking, all of a sudden they're thinking, all right, okay. It's just, you mentioned it, and I agree with you totally about the offense. Milroe was 11 for 26. He completed 11 to his own guys. He completed 3 to the other guys. Bad ratio, John. But also, how shocked were you about this? Oklahoma rushed for 257 yards in that game. Every time I was looking, they were going 7, 9, 11 yards, especially that quarterback.
Yeah, that's a great point there. And those rushing numbers, I mean, that just didn't happen all in the second half. I mean, you could see it happening throughout the game. I mean,
anytime they want it.
At halftime, you're going, whoa, wait a minute. Oklahoma's run that for that many yards already. By the end of the game, it looked like it had doubled. Yeah, I mean, couldn't stop them. I don't want to hear about injuries. Don't want to hear it. Don't want to hear it. I mean, Alabama's had enough depth and recruited enough great players. Somebody should step right in. Don't want to hear about the problems with injuries. But this team just, to me, it's not well coached. I mean, if Milroe can go out there and just out-athlete the other team as he did in Baton Rouge, okay, that's good. But if it's crunch time, not going to happen. No way. And, yeah, Bama fans today are probably going, well, let's see. We're not in the playoff. Could care less about going to Orlando. Do I really want to go to Tuscaloosa right after Thanksgiving? Yeah, I guess I will. I got the tickets. But one team's coming into this game feeling pretty good about themselves, and the other one is doubting themselves. I'm sure got some players thinking about their future, which they could care less about going to Orlando to a bowl game. Do they really care about a game coming up Saturday after Thanksgiving? You got to kind of wonder, particularly with the way they've lost games so far this year. When we get back, there was one particular play in that Alabama game that I know when I saw it live, I said some things that I can't say here on this program. I'm sure a lot of other people did too. Also, some things in the Auburn game that caught my attention as well. Tom Luganbill will be at the top of the next hour. I believe we have a Dreamland Pick 3 spinoff today as well, Barry. We have a couple of contestants, I believe 3 that are in the spinoff. And I guess if we have to go to the we'll talk a little bit about that.
Okay, all right, that's coming up as well. Auburn wins in 4 overtimes against Texas A&M, a 2-loss Texas A&M team. Auburn wins at 43-41 in that one. Auburn now 5-6. They can get bowl eligible. Alabama, this is another thing that if you told me at the beginning of the year, I would have said, first-year coach, da-da-da. There is a 12-team college playoff coming, an expanded playoff, 12 teams.
Yes.
And a lot of the snide people, a lot of the national people were kind of chuckling up and saying, boy, with a 12-team playoff, Alabama's never gonna not make it. They're never gonna not be one of the top 12 teams. How do we feel about it? They're out, right?
Yeah,
everybody.
I thought about that.
They're done.
Barry, I'm in the car kind of thinking about
in the 12-team playoff.
And I'm thinking, how is Bama fan going to react when all of that glitz and glamour and their marketing and that PR about the 12-team playoff, and you're going to be inundated with it from ESPN, and Alabama's not one of those teams? Ooh. I mean, might want to be looking for a therapist. It's going to be a long December and January for you.
You're 7 years old. You failed your spelling test, so your mom keeps you inside, or even better yet, you've got violin lessons. Oh, and your mom says, you're going to practice. We paid good money for that violin. And you're, and you look out that big plate glass window, and your buddies are out there playing, and they're throwing, is that a football?
There's Lumpy out there.
You got your nose pressed to it. Mom, I'm done. No, you still have 15. And out there, and look.
Get ready. And we'll enlighten you on some of the postseason possibilities for Alabama. I'm sure you'll be thrilled to hear some of the cities and bowls they're attached, and the teams. Oh, geez.
And they smell. Yeah, well, it's underway. You knew that the day of reckoning was here, and it is here. Right now, he's John Longshore. I'm Barry McKnight. We operate in association with the fine people at Yellowhammer News. It's Longshore and McKnight, presented by Bud Light.
Enjoy all the food, drink, fun, and winning at Victoryland. An elevated entertainment value, the best overall casino experience, and the highest jackpot payouts makes Victoryland the place to be. Go to Victoryland.com to find out more about their incredible giveaways, daily promotions, and free play opportunities. 777 Casino, simulcast thoroughbred, and greyhound racing are all within a short drive from anywhere in the Southeast. Victoryland, I-85, exit 22, Shorter, Alabama. At Victoryland, you can be a winner too.
Welcome to the holidays. They're officially here. Time for tradition, family gatherings, meals, and the annual scramble of searching for those last-minute gifts. Speaking of gifts, this season Budweiser's got your back. Head to the store right now and look for our Thanksgiving week specials. Why go all over town looking for that perfect gift when Budweiser takes care of everyone in one convenient ice-cold package? When you stock up on Budweiser with our Thanksgiving week specials, you'll have plenty to share with your friends and family. They'll all appreciate that Budweiser's brewed the hard way and has been for 140 years. We use the finest barley, malt, and hops grown in Idaho and Germany. We don't take any shortcuts when we're brewing. That's our tradition. So make the most of your holidays. Stop by your local store now for our Thanksgiving week specials. Grab enough Budweiser for yourself, your friends, and your family. It's a new holiday tradition everyone can enjoy together. Enjoy responsibly. Anheuser-Busch Budweiser Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
Why Hands? At Hands Heating and Air, you get this area's highest ranked service provider with 24-hour repair service, no overtime charges, and their same-day service guarantee. Plus, instead of other companies' 30-day repair warranty, Hands gives you a 3-year repair warranty. Hands Heating and Air is here for you 24/7, 365. And service is not just something they do, it's their way of operating, for you in mind. All of Hands employees are trained to adhere to this standard. They work hard to ensure that this standard is maintained, and they are constantly looking for new ways to better serve you. Call Hands Heating and Air today at 508-5382. That's 508-5382. Or find them on the web at 834hands.com. All righty, welcome back in, everybody. About 17 minutes past the hour. Longshore and McKnight, presented by Bud Light in association with our good friends at Yellowhammer News. Check them out at yellowhammernews.com. They're also on Facebook, Instagram, X, all over the place. Each day there's a write-up about this very program, Longshore and McKnight, with some video content as well. So you can certainly check it out there at yellowhammernews.com. JJ in the house. Glad to see JJ. He's not happy with what happened on Saturday night in Norman. Good to hear from JJ over in Atlanta.
All right, let's break it all down right now. Again, Auburn cannot overstate how important that win was. Could have been a lot more important if they'd taken care of business earlier. The big shocker nationwide was not just Oklahoma beating Alabama, but the nature in which it happened. In the SEC, LSU had a little trouble with Vanderbilt, but they won it 24-17. Vanderbilt covered.
That's a very important final there. More
yes,
on that
it is.
later.
Yes. Number 23, Missouri, no problem against Mississippi State, who's now 2-9. South Carolina, Wofford, Arkansas, Louisiana Tech, blah, blah, blah. Number 3, Texas beats Kentucky, Tennessee, UTEP, blah, blah, blah. Georgia, UMass. Ugh. The Florida Gators beat Ole Miss, beat the number 9 Rebels to send Ole Miss to 8-3 with a team that they had been building and shaping and everything to really make a run at the college football playoff, and they're not going to be in.
Can two SEC teams play in the Camping World Bowl? I mean, Alabama and Ole Miss could play one another.
I don't know. The Gators win. They're now 6-5 in bowl eligible. Jackson Dart threw 2 tough interceptions late in the game.
Barry, how about you ain't kidding. How about this one, Barry? I just completely lost. Florida. They're going to beat Florida State Saturday. 7-4. 7-5.
7-5.
You think they're going to be ticked off? Billy Napier now? Hey, I like the way he's kind of.
I absolutely do. Absolutely do. So,
you mentioned that Missouri game. Bama fan, you had it right there. You needed Missouri to win one game. They did. So basically, it's just up to you. You got to win out. Missouri taking care of business for you. They helped you out. One domino down. Got 2 more to go.
Well,
so the score at halftime, I believe, was was it 3-3 or 10-3? I can't remember exactly the score at halftime, but maybe
the Alabama game.
Yeah, I think it was 10-3.
Alabama scored the first 3 in the first quarter.
Yep.
Late in the first quarter. Oklahoma scored 10 in the second quarter. The Sooners led 10-0 at halftime. And Alabama, little did anybody know, but after that field goal in the first quarter, they were done scoring. That was it.
So they go to halftime,
10-3.
And you're thinking, okay, they're going to get the ball back. And maybe they can, start taking care of a little business.
They'll make some adjustments at halftime. Surely they'll make some adjustments at halftime.
Excellent point. Yeah, make some adjustments. Which I think they did, Barry. They go, obviously Milroe can't run it. Our running backs that we heard all summer long were so deep and talented that might be one of the best running back rooms they've ever had. That's certainly not the case. Been harping on that all season. So they say, let's just throw the ball. Let's just start throwing it. Well, boom, interception right out of the gate. Wow, that ain't the way to start the third quarter when you get the ball back. And maybe it's the next series after that. They throw another one. But this one goes to the house the other way. Again, I've watched a lot of Alabama football in my day, but when Jalen Milroe threw that third pick that ended up into a pick six, I have never seen a worse effort in trying to tackle someone, to try to stop a touchdown from happening. And the second I saw it, I went, well, there's a business decision, something you hear in pro football, but not so much.
You're talking about Milroe? Milroe didn't bust it to get back after?
Yeah, I believe we have a clip of that play that we can run, that people can take a look at. Some Bama fans might not want to look at it again.
That was really, to me, that was the whole time you're thinking, okay, this is not impossible. Okay, they can still do it. It was at that point where I thought,
it's done.
This ain't happening.
Yeah.
This ain't happening. Now, when you say business decision,
yep.
Jalen's thinking, dadgummit, I threw another one. What is that guy doing there? He's not supposed to be there. He's supposed to be over here. Have I got to read defenses too?
Yeah. Here's one of the most physical players on the field, one of the bigger players on the field. He's very strong. He's very fast. And you're telling me he could not have made that tackle in that situation? I mean, you don't need another cheap touchdown from the opposing team. And that was one of the worst, lack of effort. And at that point, I'm thinking, it's time for Ty Simpson to warm up. You got to put somebody else in the game. And for Kalen DeBoer not to do that, grow some stones, Kalen. So what if the team gets pissed that you put Jaden on the bench? So what if he gets his lip poked out? This guy is killing you. You have got to give somebody else another shot. And the only time Ty Simpson got on the field was when, I guess, Milroe's helmet got knocked off, or maybe got the wind knocked out of him and he had to sit out of play. But, you got to make a change because the quarterback position is not working.
If the motivation for sticking with him is that, well, I don't want to lose the team. The team believes in Milroe and this is one of the corollaries to the world which we live in college football, John. At some point, the impetus should not be, man, I've got to make sure I keep those players happy. It's like being a father.
Sure.
Man, I got to make sure I keep my kids happy. At some point, you got to say, enough of that. They're going to try and make me happy. I'm the one that they should be making happy instead of me making sure that, hey, are we all okay? We're all fine with. No, someday they're going to have to look and say, I got to make that guy happy. The previous coach had that mastered. They did not want to let Saban down. Saban, I'm just saying, if they can put Tua in at halftime of a national championship game because the other guy isn't getting it done, you can try somebody else when you just fell down 24-3 on the road in an absolute game that you had to have.
Are you kidding me? 3 picks and you're still going to let this guy play? There again, I think you've got to give some new life, some new momentum, because there again, 3 picks, nothing's working. You're going to continue to do the same thing. But that effort, I mean, the lack of effort, I mean, it was half speed. I'm not tackling this guy.
Business decision, meaning, man, if I go after him and I pull a hammy or I blow out my knee, boy, my draft stock is going to plummet next year.
And there again, Kalen, you're not there to be their best friend. And I know that it's your first year, but to me, that was ridiculous. I mean, why you don't put Ty Simpson in the game there? And there again, if I'm Ty Simpson, I'm sitting there going, wait a minute. Guy's thrown 3 picks, half-ass effort trying to talk to somebody, and they're still not going to put me in the game? I mean, I'm out.
Here's one I've been waiting for from Robbie, 725. I inadvertently put stuff on the screen whenever my cursor stays on something I'm reading for more than 3 seconds, it pops up there. But Robbie says, Alabama fans must understand this is DeBoer's first year. A win over Auburn and a bowl win will give Alabama a 10-win season and momentum. Alabama should be much better next year. And
Robbie,
you bring up 2 things that Alabama fans hate to even say. We could have a 10-win season. A 10-win season is the base minimum expectation for Bama fan. And Alabama should be much better next year. Next year.
Yeah. Robbie, here's the deal. At this point in time, Bama fan doesn't care about the Iron Bowl, and they damn sure don't care about a bowl game. This team was, there again, 12-team playoff. We're in the 12-team playoff. That was the mentality. 12 teams, sure.
Of course.
Yeah, we might not miss a year with 12 teams. And the way that they just, I don't want to say it because I think it's a topic on the Victorland 777 topic wheel. But the way they played and the way they let that game play out and lose, they're done. And I think it's going to be interesting Saturday. Yeah, they'll show up and the band will play Yay Alabama. But deep down, they're going, something's missing here. I mean, think about it. When Alabama and Auburn play on Saturday, is the season, basically it's over. If Auburn wins and they end up going to Shreveport or wherever a 6-win team would go, and if Alabama win or lose, they're going to go somewhere. They're going to be opt-outs. Nobody's going to care. We won't hardly talk about it. Don't give me this, they can win the Iron Bowl and go to a bowl game and gee whiz, win 10 games. No. Do not care.
Down at the bottom, Allison Longshore says, can't wait for Thanksgiving. All the Longshore men analyzing games. Love you, Uncle John. Bye, Barry. Allison, appreciate you checking us in.
Thank you, Allie. See you Thursday. Yeah, there's going to be some conversation over a couple of Bloody Marys on Thursday. Imagine? I can promise you that. Can
you imagine? Here's another score I wanted to bring up.
All right.
Out of the great big wide world of things, BYU went to Arizona State.
Oh, yeah.
Arizona State was number 21. They've kind of snuck up on some people. They've got a great running back with a great name, Cam Scatterbo. Arizona State goes to 9-2. BYU drops to 9-2. Arizona State wins in Tempe 28-23. The Arizona State fans storm the field while the game's still going on. They prematurely storm. They evidently, like Dennis said, they tear down both goalposts. Storm the field, tear down both goalposts. Oklahoma beats Alabama. Oklahoma storms the field. Auburn beats Texas A&M at home. Auburn fans storm the field, toilet paper in the trees, the whole deal out there. John, they're not listening to you, man.
Well, they're not in that Arizona State BYU game. That was a 13-minute delay. 13 minutes to get all those knuckleheads off the field so they could run one more play that BYU threw it down to the 2. So it was kind of nail biting there on that one.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, Barry, I'm glad you brought that up because I certainly got that on my list as well.
Right.
Maybe take a quick break and we'll get into that section of the show as well. Kind of teased you with that one, but I've got some harsh comments about that, similar to Alabama's game in which they lost to Oklahoma in Norman.
Yeah.
Tom Luganbill at the top of the next hour. Really looking forward to seeing what Lugs has to say about this weekend and looking ahead. Barry, it's rivalry week. That's what they call it around the country. Rivalry.
Big time. Yeah. I wonder if we can position this in one of John's favorite ways when we come back or at some time during the show this morning. If Jalen Milroe was a stock, would if you had been investing a little bit, socking away at a little bit, saving some and putting it in Jalen Milroe all year long, and now you're looking at it and you're going, oh, what is it this morning? How did it open this morning?
My broker Saturday night and say, listen, before the market opens, can you go ahead and put in an order for me? Because I want it to be ready to go first thing when that bell rings on Monday. Sell.
Yeah. Well, we'll be back. It's Longshore and McKnight, presented by Bud Light.
Located just 8 miles north of Alabama's state capital, Capitol Hill features 3 18-hole championship courses. With more than 1,500 acres of golf and nature, the pure magnitude of this facility is amazing and allows each course to be drastically different from the others. Capitol Hill also features an innovative 360-degree driving range, 400 yards in diameter. Known by avid golfers as one of the most beautiful and challenging stops on the trail, Campion Ridge in Greenville lies just 40 miles from Montgomery. It is well worth the ride for any golfer looking for 27 holes of jaw-dropping golf. The greens have been redesigned to accommodate the higher green speed associated with our installation of the latest generation of ultra-dwarf Bermuda grass. Both locations offer fully stocked pro shops with all the latest equipment and apparel. Great food and beverages in the clubhouse can be enjoyed both before and after your round. Get your group together and hit the trail. Go to rtjgolf.com.
The blowout at Marguerite's is on. Door busters. We got lab-grown 5-carat diamond bracelets, $16.50. Half-carat diamond stud earrings, lab-grown, $99. 1-carat diamonds, $4.99 in a 14-carat mounting. You got to be kidding me. Every single item in the store has a crazy whack-out price, and our inventory is better than ever. We're ready for Christmas, and you can lay away to Christmas Eve. Don't miss the blowout at Marguerite's. The early bird catches a diamond.
Shopping for a budget-friendly, reliable used car, or maybe a stunning new Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, or Ram? Well, in Prattville, it's always a process that starts with the team of professionals from Stivers CDJR. Thanks to years of experience helping others in the local community enjoy premium service, low prices, and access to a wealth of amazing new and used cars, it's safe to say that Stivers Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram is the name to beat in Prattville. But hey, just don't take my word for it. Experience the Stivers difference for yourself. Prices that will not be beat, a huge inventory, and knowledgeable, helpful sales associates. See why so many happy car and truck buyers shop at Stivers CDJR, where price sells cars and trucks on Cobbs Ford Road in Prattville. All right, here we are back at it. We are up, ready to go. It's about 25 minutes to the top of the hour. Tom Luganbill going to join us there from ESPN, their talented college football analyst. Barry, in the Auburn game, you're up 21. Missouri, A&M comes back. You're kind of getting nervous, thinking, here we go again. We've seen this before.
Many times.
Peyton Thorne played extremely well. Jarquez Hunter had a great game. The field goal kicker that they pulled out of the stands, it seems like he was nails as well. There was just, even though there could have been some panic set in, there was no quit here. And there again, we've seen Auburn play these type games all season long, and finally it fell their way.
Yeah. How many of you, when Auburn had the big lead and everybody saying, oh, this one's over. This is going to be great. This one's over. And then and Peyton Thorne's playing well, distributing the football, taking care of it. Then he throws that pick on his own 15-yard line or whatever like that. And you think, those are words you probably don't want to say on this program as well. Yeah, guys, bleeply bleep this and everything. Bad mistake. But overall, he played really well. I saw one of the best catches I've ever seen from Keandre Lambert-Smith, who is a stud. Keandre Lambert-Smith, 2 catches, 104 yards. Cam Coleman, again, really, really good. They had 2 100-yard receivers. Peyton Thorne throws for 300, 2 touchdowns, 1 bad interception. Jarquez runs for 130. You have those numbers, 2 100-yard receivers, quarterback throws for 300, running back runs for 100. You should win the game. So why did Auburn struggle at the very end? Maybe this is the value of the game, John. They are finally figuring out how to win.
Yeah.
And, the only way that really teaches winning is winning, Auburn has some experienced guys, but they have a lot of those youngsters and a lot of those role players on the offensive and defensive lines. They maybe took a big step forward in the one big thing that they had stunk at this year, and that is learning how to win a close game. They've been bad at it before. Maybe that's
a lot of young players on the field for Auburn, particularly defensively. So, big step forward. A lot of momentum coming into this week. It would be a huge shot in the arm if Auburn could win their last 2. Of course, beating Alabama on the road would be huge. That would certainly soften a lot of the cuts and bruises that this team and this fan base has gone throughout the season. But I got to get on the fan base, Barry. Even though the game was great, Auburn played fantastic. Best game I think I've seen them play this year.
Right.
You played well. Jumped out to a big lead, faced some adversity, didn't crumble, didn't fold, stuck with it, and won the game. But I used the term pathetic when I described Alabama's performance in Norman. Fans, what are you storming the field for beating Texas A&M? I mean, you kidding me? I mean, are we going to storm the field after every win? Is that where we're heading now? And Barry mentioned where it happened in other parts of the country as well.
Arizona State,
the Auburn game, and I'm thinking, are they really storming the field? Really? I know it's a night game, probably got liquored up all afternoon, but still, you don't storm the field. And there again, Barry, go back to what I've been saying for the last 3 or 4 years. The fans do not care. They don't give a rat's ass that it cost Auburn $100,000 that they got to send to Texas A&M. So what? Big deal. It ain't my money. And for Greg Sankey and all the other power brokers in college football that think it's just going to, there's nothing we can do about it. I'm telling you, when somebody gets injured, when somebody gets cold cocked, when a player or a coach gets assaulted on the field, then what are you going to do?
I remember, and again, I'm watching it kind of on the fly. I got a chance to watch a good bit more of it. I remember at the end of the Alabama game, and I'm thinking, holy smokes, I'm on the back of my seat anyway, just like, wow. And then you look down there and you see Milroe. He's got to have a state trooper with him. He's got his hands on his helmet, face mask, and he's just trying to get his way through there. And somebody for Alabama, it was number 15, number 16. Don't know who he is, but he's by himself out there. He's at like 20-yard line. Ain't nobody else. There ain't no friendly people around him. And kids are running by, drunk frat boys and stuff, and they're screaming at him and everything. And holy smokes, John, what you're talking about, it ain't no stretch of the imagination for something bad to happen.
Well, you mentioned, Barry, some drunk frat boy, running up to the opposing team's player, saying something smart aleck, telling you just got your ass kicked, whatever it may be. That's not going to go over well with the player from the team that just got beat. They're still probably a little ticked off that their team lost. Well, you would hope they would be. I'm not sure that Bama team was too ticked off they lost Saturday night. They certainly didn't have the fire in play in the game to show that. But it's going to happen, because there's only so many state troopers. There's only so many rent-a-cops out there. And when you're letting 30, 40, 50,000 people on the field, somebody's going to do something stupid, particularly as they're trying to get the opposing team off the field.
To safety.
And and I'm sure these coaching staffs and people from the league office say, look, if you're on the road and the other team storms the field, you need to get in that locker room as quickly as you can. And these players that are hanging around, just taking their time, getting back to the locker room, that's on them. They better go. They need to go ahead and get in the locker room. There's no reason for them to be hanging around.
I've got a theory about this. The SEC is fining people, and they'll fine Texas A&M. Auburn for the Texas A&M thing and all that kind of stuff. I got a theory. I think these leagues liked it. I think they like it because the TV networks like it. It's a great backdrop as the curtain drops after a great performance. You know, you see everybody out there jumping around and woo, and we're number one and all that kind of stuff. And then you have that final drone shot over the stadium of everybody on the field. And it's pandemonium at Jordan-Hare Stadium. The Tigers have won it. That's great television.
Yeah.
And I think the television people are telling them, hey, you know,
okay?
We really do like that quite a bit. You know, let's not go crazy and just totally ban it or something.
If that's the deal, then start showing these idiots that run down the middle of the field in the middle of the game, the guys that are streaking, or the guys that have some flag trying to get some message across. They won't show them. Oh, we can't show that because that might give people ideas to do it in future weeks.
Yes.
But they're showing, that's exactly what it is. These people see it on television. They're glamorizing it. Oh, we're going to do that at the end of our next game.
I can't wait until it's our chance to do it.
I don't see it diminishing. I see more and more of this field storming stuff going on. And there again, look, for some of you younger viewers and listeners, there was an Alabama assistant coach that attempted to jump into the stands in Tuscaloosa because somebody was saying something to him. You let some opposing teams' fans get in the face of an assistant coach as he's trying to walk off the field, somebody's going to get some punches thrown at him one way or another, and then it's all over CNN, Fox, MSNBC. Is that what these leagues want? They got this, oh, look at this. This is what separates college football from the NFL, till somebody's out there getting the crap kicked out of him, and it's all over the news network. Ooh, that's not the look we wanted.
Danny from Margaritaville, he's actually branching out in his topic matter, and I want to absolutely encourage that. Danny said, I'd like to see the Barners rush the field in T-Town.
I'd kind of like to see, I would like to see that. Because the rent-a-cops they've got up there aren't paying attention half the time.
Oh, yeah.
You do have to make a little more effort to get on the field. You can't get on it from the end zones unless you're willing to take about a 8 to 10 foot jump.
12 maybe 12-foot drop, something like that.
Between the goal lines, there's a wrought iron fence you got to get over.
Here's the deal, though. Here's the one deal about it. The visitors never storm.
No.
Or, you never see the visitors.
Then you're really asking for a fight.
You got that right. You got that right. Then you got some 68-year-old potbelly old boy who, had too much to drink. Oh, show him.
Yeah.
That type of a thing. I want to ask Bama fans this. Tomorrow night, what is it, 7 o'clock? You going to be watching the college football playoff ranking show? I mean, is that must see?
No.
Because you'll be in it. Bama fans, you can tease about Alabama fan. Hey, we're going to get somebody on from the ReliaQuest Bowl to talk about Alabama's bowl destination. Well, at least you're going. Auburn hasn't earned that yet.
Barry, the only
and Auburn's not going to be in the top 25. But Alabama, you're going to be mentioned. You're going to be in the top 25.
Yeah, you know how they're going to be mentioned? Is the team that fell the furthest. That's how they're going to be mentioned.
It's not just a loss. It's a bad loss.
Terrible.
I mean, it was, again, it wasn't necessarily, they're going to penalize us. We lose one game. We've had, whatever it is, 4 top 25 wins and everything. It ain't just the game. It's the score.
Barry, those
3 points.
Those 4 top 25 wins, are those teams in the top 25 now? I mean, LSU certainly isn't. Is Missouri maybe, but hanging by a thread. They beat Georgia. We know that. Who was the other one? What was the other one?
Vanderbilt is not in. Vanderbilt is not in. Tennessee is number 11. Oklahoma is not in.
Barry, in a long time, and I guess when they went and played Kansas State in the Sugar Bowl and won, they beat Michigan State in the Capital One Bowl. I'm trying to think of some bowl games that Saban went to that when he didn't take his team to the playoff. Utah. That was terrible.
What was the worst Saban bowl game? That's a good question.
Probably the loss to Utah.
Yeah, but that was still the Sugar Bowl,
Yeah. The Oklahoma game that we talked, and what is it with Oklahoma? I mean, Alabama just cannot seem to beat this team. We talked about that last week about teams that Alabama has a losing record against. But unlike any of those other ones, they're done. I'm just, this time next week, win or lose, Bama fans squarely turning their attention to basketball because they could care less about playing Illinois. That's what I'm hearing. That's the matchup I'm hearing. Several different bowl games. It's the Rely Quest, the Camping World, some of these other crappy bowl games, and they're all pinned against Illinois. Now, I know the last time Alabama played Illinois probably ever was when Coach Bryant beat them in his last game. I don't think they've played since. But you think Bama fans going to be geeked up about a game on New Year's Eve in Orlando at 11 in the morning against Illinois?
Spoiled.
Really?
Spoiled. Saban did 2007, January 4th, 2007, Saban's first year, the Crimson Tide beat Colorado in the Independence Bowl.
Oh, the Weed Whacker Bowl. Yeah, I forgot about that. I was not there, Barry, so I can't tell you much about that game.
It's just spoiled. This program deserves your constant positive support. As Billy Joel once sang, you took the good times, you'll take the bad times. You need to take them just the way they are. And believe me, 8-3 ain't all that bad. So, come on.
You can try to sell that to Bama Nation, but they ain't buying that.
Well,
they ain't buying that.
Gosh, we got to catch up on some of these. We love our chatters. There's plenty of it on there, but, we can't get to all of it. Danny from Margaritaville, it says, are we hearing the bugle sound of taps in Tuscaloosa after one of the most embarrassing losses in quite some time? Aub has a great win at home, and now the Iron Bowl gets interesting. Danny from Margaritaville is acknowledging the potential that Auburn may make the Iron Bowl interesting instead of some just little amusing hurdle for the Crimson Tide.
I think it'll be interesting, Barry. Bama, an 11-point favorite, total 52 at the moment. I think that's going to be real interesting.
Yeah.
And there again, it's just, is Alabama going to come out there with kind of a half-ass effort, or are they going to play like they have in some of their wins they had this year? I don't know how you can have a lot of confidence in them.
And we've got the topic wheel, and I don't want to jump in too much on this.
And we got some good emails we're going to get to as well today.
Ooh, I saw that. So I don't want to jump on this, but because there's really no solution. There's no solution, and I don't ever like to identify a problem without a solution. But there is an officiating problem in college football.
We need to get into
and the reason why there's no solution is because there's not enough people that want to do it. And the reason why there's not enough people that want to do it is because of the parents, of the fans, of the backlash, of all that stuff. And I get it. I wouldn't be an official if you paid me double what they're paying him right now. But like Danny said, he said, not that it would have made a difference, but can y'all elaborate on the Ryan Williams touchdown called back? The Aubs also had a suspicious penalty that sent Freeze melting as well. The Auburn penalty was it was for offensive pass interference, and I didn't see it. The announcers didn't see it. They didn't see it that way. He was not trying to make contact with the defensive back. He had just run his route. The Alabama thing, all I can tell you, the rule of the law, it was an incredible catch by Ryan Williams, just incredible, and they called it back. And they said it was illegal touching, meaning that Williams was an ineligible receiver and he touched the football. They say he was an ineligible receiver because he was covered up. Now, quickly, I'm not going to get deep into the woods on this. Obviously, everybody knows you have to have 7 men on the line of scrimmage, right? You got to. You can be all over the place if you want to. I mean, they can be sideline to sideline, but you got to have them on the line of scrimmage, 7 guys. Only the outside guy on the line of scrimmage, guys, can catch a football.
Yeah.
You can't, so you've got to be able to, usually you'll have one wide receiver on the line of scrimmage. And if you got like 3 receivers on one side, you got one wide receiver on the line of scrimmage, you got 2 receivers back. Now, if you have 2 receivers on the line of scrimmage, like say beside each other, and they're both on the line of scrimmage, you got 7 guys on the line of scrimmage, but the inside receiver is not the final guy on the line of scrimmage. So the inside receiver, they say, is covered up. Only the outside lineman is eligible. And for some reason, they said that Ryan Williams, who was a slot receiver on that play, was covered up by another receiver further out on the line of scrimmage for him. That's the problem. There is no way on God's green earth that outside receiver was on the line of scrimmage.
Yeah,
what was he seeing?
Wasn't on the line of scrimmage either. He looked to be 2-3 steps back from the line of scrimmage.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. That's the issue. Yes.
The official throws the flag way after the play's been snapped. I mean, they're downfield by the time he throws this flag. And I'm with you. Even the official in the booth, so to speak, that they referenced and they got his opinion on it. He said it was a blown call. So there's no way. But let's face it, Bama fan. And Robbie, you brought this up. Bama's still not winning that game. I mean, one lucky, miraculous, singular play that was made, and Ryan Williams is a phenom, that ain't going to win the game for you. I don't see that happening 2 or 3 more times after that for Alabama to win it. Nothing that's happened prior to that for me to believe it. So, no. Bad call, yes. Bama coming back and win? No, not going to happen. Now, the Auburn penalty, I didn't see it either, Barry. I'm not real sure what they're talking about when Freeze went ballistic. I think it was, but you'd mentioned it was like
it was a pass down to the goal line, and I'm trying to remember who caught the pass. It was the pass down to the goal line, really set him up, and the receiver, gosh, I want to say it was Fairweather, could be wrong. He was running a deep slant, and he got to the middle of the field and reversed his field, and a defensive back was there, and there was contact, and they said it was the offensive player who was trying to screen the defender, and he wasn't. Even the announcers were saying, I don't see that. He was just running a route. He was, the contact was incidental. And in both of those cases, this is the cardinal rule that always gets broken in officiating. In that Ryan Williams deal, the official was looking for something that wasn't there.
Yeah.
Let the players on the field decide it. If you're sitting there looking for something specific, I hadn't called anything in a few plays. They're going to think I'm not earning my money. Let me find something here. And same thing with the other one. The official was looking to throw the flag for something. There was not something there that he said, hey, this guy got an unfair advantage in that way.
Subconsciously, Barry, that we're human. We get it. So are the officials. Are they feeling, I got to throw it because I know they're looking at everything upstairs. They're commenting on, should have been a penalty there. What were they not? Why didn't they see that? I'm with you. Don't throw it just to throw it. I mean, if you see it, throw it. But I think subconsciously these officials are going, I got to do something because I know they're watching. And maybe I did see that. Maybe I didn't. But in a play like that, obviously you're not going back to review it. You can't go back and look at it.
Well, see, that's the other thing people were asking, John. Can't they go back to the replay official who reviews everything and him look and him say, hey, Ryan Williams wasn't on the line of scrimmage. He wasn't covered up. He wasn't a lineman, so to speak. You can't do that. Now, you can look back on certain penalties in certain situations, the replay official can go back and say, well, like targeting. He said they can add targeting upon review, but they can't take a call on the field and take it off. It was that same crew that did the Georgia-Texas game, and which is why it was so important that the referees got together on that pass interference penalty that Kirby lost his mind over and say, that really wasn't one. They decided that on the field.
Yeah.
They would not have been able to go to the booth and the guy in the booth say, that wasn't really interference. I didn't see that. You can't do that. You can't take a call on the field. You cannot take a call on the field off just simply by review, but you can add something to it if there's something that, you can't look and you can't later on. By the way, that play doesn't count because the offensive lineman had a little jump there. You can't do that. You cannot add a penalty upon review.
All right, what do you say? We'll take a quick timeout. When we return, Tom Luganbill will join us. Lugs, of course, with ESPN, one of their fine college football analysts. I know he's got a lot to go over with us when we get back at the top of the hour.
Yeah, we're glad you're along with us here. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and be a part of our program. Inspired and associated with Yellowhammer News, it's Longshore and McKnight, presented by Bud Light. Hey, this is Barry McKnight from Longshore and McKnight, telling you about our friends at River Region Straw. You're not buying sticks or stems and pine cones. You're buying premium long needle pine straw from River Region Straw. Kenny and his staff have access to the best pine straw in the River Region, full of color, that'll last all season long. They've got locations in Montgomery, Prattville, and Auburn, and no order is too big or too small. From a few bales to an 18-wheeler trailer load, River Region Straw also has seasoned firewood for the cold days and nights ahead. Pickup is available, and your order can be delivered if you like. They can even spread your pine straw if that's what you want to have happen, for sure. Call or text Kenny today, 669-5959. That's 669-5959 for all of your pine straw and firewood needs at River Region Straw.
Heads or tails, kick or receive, with the wind or against the wind. Buy your friend a Bud Light, buy a stranger a Bud Light. Go to your team's bar, go to the opposing team's bar. Buy around during the next truck commercial, buy around during the next talking duck commercial. If you're truly up for whatever this weekend, grab the perfect beer for whatever happens. Crisp, refreshing Bud Light. Make two plans and let the NFL coin toss make the call. Enjoy responsibly. Bud Light Beer, Anheuser-Busch, St. Louis, Missouri.
Phoenix Physical Therapy is ready to help patients recover, recharge, and rise. They develop a customized therapy plan for each patient to get them back to enjoying their favorite activities. Their experienced team is committed to providing exceptional care in a professional environment. Whether you're looking to prevent or treat an injury, recover from a recent illness, or recuperate from surgery, schedule an appointment with our clinic and take advantage of our physical therapy, athletic training, workers' comp, and employer solutions service. Experience elevated physical therapy today. Call Phoenix Physical Therapy at 239-9316. That's 239-9316. Jim Massey's Cleaners and Laundry is an Alabama-based, family-owned and operated business that specializes in dry cleaning and laundry, serving the River region since 1941. There are 12 convenient locations across the River region. Find one close to you or call 481-1911 for free pickup and delivery. For 83 years, Central Alabama has trusted Jim Massey's Cleaners and Laundry. You should too.
Okay, here we are back at it, top of the hour on a Monday. You know what that means, our good friends at River Bank and Trust, bringing you our friend Tom Luganbill, ESPN college football analyst. River Bank and Trust, local banking expertise, the newest innovations and technology, personal attention, genuine hospitality. It's all just part of the River Bank and Trust difference, and they invite you to experience it for yourself. Welcome to banking above and beyond with River Bank and Trust. Lugs, good Monday. How you doing today, my friend?
Man, I am doing fantastic, boys. How are you doing?
We're doing really well. As you can imagine, we're probably doing better here in Central Alabama than many of the citizens of our great state right now. wearing crimson. First of all, I always like to get this first because I enjoy your work. Manny Diaz said this after Duke beat Virginia Tech over the weekend. He says, "I don't know if anybody would confuse all this with excellence, but it was. But we were successful. If you want to put together a film on great, seamless, efficient play, you probably wouldn't have put Duke's 31-28 win over Virginia Tech on that film."
No, you wouldn't. It was a really good game that had a little bit of everything, explosive plays, mistakes, some mistakes that turned into catastrophes for both teams. But I will say this about Duke. Duke is a case study in handling the transfer portal. A lot of people don't realize this storyline. Manny Diaz took that job, and there was a 13-day lapse between Mike Elko leaving and him getting the job. Oh, wow. In that 13-day lapse, Riley Leonard leaves, Jordan Waters leaves, and Aeneas Peoples leaves. 3 of their best players, right? They come out of spring football with 45 players on the roster. 45 players. They go into June and do not have 5 offensive linemen to put out on a field if they were practicing to create a starting 5, right? And have somehow managed to collect over 85 players and put together an 8-3 season. It's been remarkable. I mean, the job that he has done it's just been nuts. It really has been.
Well, it's been fun to watch, and there's no doubt about that. Not so fun to watch if you're a Bama fan, Tom, as you can imagine, was that, well, I want to say effort, but I'm not sure there was much of one with the guys wearing the white uniform Saturday night in Norman. We've said it all year. We've talked about it. I think it was so evident Saturday night. The offense seems so limited. It's so centered around what Jalen Milroe can or can't do. Ryan Williams seems to be the only wide receiver that is even in the game plan. The running backs have not been as effective as we were led they were going to be back in the summer. In saying all that, particularly after that 3rd interception, why did Kalen DeBoer not put Ty Simpson in the game?
That's a great question, and it probably has to do with maybe a little bit of the confidence of Jalen Milroe and him. You need him back for this coming week. You gotta have him fully invested. He's already been sat before. We know that last year in the South Florida game. I don't know if they felt at that point it was too little, too late. And listen, I was watching the game, and every time I'm watching a game, I always put together my little notes and my little hit charts of what I was pulling up. And in the first 5 plays of this game, it told the entire story of how the game was going to be played. The opening snap, the quarterback run from Jalen Milroe, I thought the tight ends for Alabama played terrible in every phase. C.J. Dupree comes around as the lead blocker in the hole and completely olays against Danny Stutzman, the one guy on that defense you better block, right? Yep. And just whiffs. What is going on? Okay, let's get to the next play. Now we're going to throw it. Dropped pass. All right, let's get to the next play. We're now going to do quarterback run again, and Jalen Milroe uses such poor vision that if he just sticks his foot in the ground and gets north and south, he gets a first down, fresh set of downs, you got some momentum going. Instead, he decides to jump out to the outside and ends up taking like a 2-yard loss, all right? The very next play is the throw to Ryan Williams. That he drops. So now you've set the tone for what you are. That's just on offense. The bigger problem, and this was something that Ty Simpson would not have been able to fix, is Oklahoma clearly came into that game having watched the South Carolina and the Vanderbilt game and said, we don't think Alabama can play quarterback run. And they were right, because Alabama had no plan on how to stop quarterback run. And we're not just talking about RPO stuff where the quarterback might, pull it and keep it on his own off the edge. We're talking about quarterback counter, quarterback lead, quarterback power, some eye candy in the backfield. And there was no answer. There was no answer from Alabama. And it was as if they had not practiced or expected to see some of that. I don't know how you would, or then how you don't make some adjustments in game. But that was startling to me because if you changed Vanderbilt and Oklahoma's uniforms on offense, you would have thought they were playing Vanderbilt again.
Yeah, Jackson Arnold runs for 131 yards, 25 rushes, and Alabama didn't do a thing about it. I was surprised. The coaching job from Kalen DeBoer and his staff, I thought, was subpar, Tom.
Yeah, I think it started prior to the ball even being kicked off. They weren't prepared to play the game. And I think in game, it's too late to flip that switch, especially if the other team comes ready to play. Listen, Oklahoma's been like a snake backed into a corner, guys. Nothing's gone well for them. They've had every imaginable injury you can have on offense to every one of their main targets. They've had to fluctuate with quarterbacks. Don't tell me those receiver injuries didn't affect Jackson Arnold in the first 4 to 5 weeks. You're playing with walk-ons, right? So defensively, you're a really good football team, and you're trying to carry the football team with I would say, outside of Florida, probably the most difficult SEC schedule of any team. And so you're sitting there in your Oklahoma, you're saying, we got nothing else to lose. Let's cut it loose, man. So you're playing at home. You got a raucous crowd. Alabama's not ready to play. And then in-game, Alabama did not make any adjustments or try to create any type of momentum from a coaching perspective. It was bizarre to me. It really was.
Yeah, boy, no kidding. It was bizarre to me as well watching that play out. And Luke's, I think this week they've got an even more difficult coaching job, because not only do they have to get this team ready to play their in-state rival, they've also got to build this team back up. I mean, they're talking 12-team playoff. I mentioned earlier, Missouri had taken care of business for them earlier. So now all Alabama's got to do is just win out. And they're probably, they're in the college football playoff looking good. Now they got to build this team back up to say, well, you need to beat your in-state rival. And guess what? When you do that, you're going to end up in the Camping World Bowl against Illinois. I mean, to motivate this team and get them ready to play mentally, to me, is going to be job number one for DeBoer and this staff this week.
Well, from an Alabama perspective, we're going to find out about their maturity, their leadership, and what their locker room is all about. Because they've been way too loose, way too undisciplined, way too sloppy as a football team to have any type of winning consistency, right? And listen, I know it's a changeover. It's a transitional period with coaches and administrators and players and the transfer portal, and all of those sorts of things have all played a role, all right? That's part of it. Kalen DeBoer has won a lot of football games as the head coach. He's been successful everywhere he has been. And listen, it hasn't gone the way that they would have expected it to, not necessarily so much from a wins and losses, but how they've played, how they have looked, I think has been what's been so stunning to most people that have watched them. So they can't allow Oklahoma to beat them twice. I think if you're Kalen DeBoer and you're this coaching staff, and whenever it is that the players have their day off and you have that first meeting and they're coming into the building, right? You're gauging body language. You're gauging how players are carrying themselves. Is it a quiet room? Is it a boisterous room? Are there smiles on the faces? Then you get out on the field. What's the energy level at practice? Have they been able to flush what happened and move on to the next thing? Those are going to be telltale signs about how they perform on Saturday. Now, from the other side of the sideline, you talk about a 48-hour shift in perspective in terms of how Auburn, the Auburn community, the Auburn fan base is looking at this game. If you would have told Auburn that 3 days ago that this game looked not only competitive but winnable, they would have said, what are you talking about, right? On the road in Tuscaloosa. And now that's exactly what it looks like. And you know what? Couldn't come at a better time for rivalry weekend.
The Auburn win over Texas A&M, I thought about this. Auburn has had games where they played well and lost, make a bad mistake and everything. In your experience, does the cliche, they are learning how to win, is that a valid cliche?
Yes, I think it's.
Is that a thing?
It is a thing. It is a thing, but I think it's a thing that's also a byproduct. And you could say this about what Billy Napier has been able to pull off in Florida as well. Is while everything is going down the drain, and while everything is negative surrounding the program, if your players stay engaged and they stay the course, and there is a true belief in what is being preached, you have a chance. And I think that's what Florida has shown. That is what Auburn has shown to some degree. Now, Auburn hasn't had the luxury of having a DJ Lagway to build this thing around. And it's become very clear to me, particularly over the last couple of weeks, you have to ask the question, if you think Peyton Thorne is limited, why wasn't number 8 and number 27 the focal point of the offense in every single game plan from the start of the season until now? Because it is very clear that's who that offense is going to run through. And so I do think that there is a bit of that. Your year 2, you made a choice not to change the quarterback position through the portal or through recruiting. You're riding this thing out, and somehow you still have the team. Somehow there's a care in that locker room, and that is what is a byproduct of learning how to win. Now, if you don't have any of that, then you're not learning how to win. You're continuing to lose.
Yes.
I kind of feel sorry for Ole Miss fans, Tom. I mean, they beat Georgia, but they lose to Kentucky. They lose to Florida last week. Kiffin, I mean, I've never listened or heard a coach in a post-game press conference look as down as Kiffin was after that loss to Florida. What's the problem there? I mean, they can get up for some games, others. I mean, to me, they're a little like Alabama.
They are a little like Alabama. And listen, this is, I think, a bit of a byproduct of the transactional nature of what this sport has become.
Yep.
Because you don't have foundational pillars anymore. You don't have 3, 4, 5-year guys littered throughout your 2 and 3 deep. Everything is being rented, right? You're going to rent this guy for a year, and you're going to rent that guy for 2 years. You're going to rent that guy for a year. And you're trying to create a cohesiveness. And if things don't go well, where is the buy-in and the commitment and the loyalty and the allegiance? Because they are likely there through some mechanism of name, image, and likeness. And I think that this is the downside of the world that we're living in, is you can push all your chips to the table. You can pay all the money you want. But it's just like Nick Saban said in week 0 in Ireland. If you don't do it exactly right, right, it ain't going to be worth a darn. And it's really not. And not to say that they haven't done some of the right things. They have. They've improved in the defensive front, right? They've developed depth. They've been good enough to play really, really good football. But it's disappointing to see a team that talented perform that inconsistently, like you talked about with Alabama. John, there's no question. I think it's very, very similar. I would argue Alabama's actually been even more sloppy than Ole Miss. I think this is also the first time I've ever seen Ole Miss lose the game at the quarterback position. They lost the game at the quarterback position. And I'll tell you another thing too. The 4th and 1 stuff, I got no issue with. You want to bring in your 330-pound running back? Fine. What you can't do is run off tackle with your quarterback as the lead blocker. And then your quarterback at the point of attack goes like this.
Yeah.
Right? What are we doing? You want to run that wildcat look? Fine. Let's
run it.
Shoulder square, and let's go right through the A gap between the center and the guard. Whatever side you want to choose, I don't care. And you're probably going to get the first down, but the play design twice was terrible. And I think
invest in that.
I couldn't believe that. And I'll say this: Billy Napier should be considered for Coach of the Year. All right, he should be in the conference. Every Florida fan on the planet should be writing letters of apology to him and every player, because you haven't helped. You've made it worse.
Agreed.
Right? You've created negativity and a cloud of negativity that is so hard to come out from under. And they have still overcome. And that quarterback is a freaking problem. He is a nightmare.
Yes.
And
yes.
One of the things about him, and this is a reflection of Billy Napier's leadership, he's been the Pied Piper that's been leading the charge in support of the head coach. And that's very, very important not to forget.
I like to call that the Jimmy Chitwood effect.
Absolutely, man.
Uh-huh. That's right. I'll make it.
You still got to pass the ball 5 times before you shoot. And
That's right.
You can't let the ball bounce off your foot.
And don't let the paint dry.
Get Jimmy on the court.
All right, I get it. Alabama's a 3-loss team. They're not going to be in the college football playoff. I get it. Now Indiana is a 1-loss football team. Are they out?
So I think they were helped by what occurred this weekend with everything else crumbling around them. The problem they're going to run into is, and I feel like I'm the only one saying this out loud, but the Big Ten isn't any good. Everybody keeps talking about the Big Ten, right? And outside of 2 or 3 teams, I mean, Penn State just went on the road and had to hang on to beat a 6-5 Minnesota team, right? Ohio State and Oregon, I think, are both really, really good football teams. I do. The problem with Indiana is the eye test helped them overcome what the schedule is. Now the schedule is going to get magnified for what it really is, because they looked like they didn't belong on Saturday. It's one thing to go on the road and play a highly anticipated game like that, but to do so and just flat out lay an egg and to look non-competitive is not good. But as I mentioned, having what happened around the country may buy them a little time in the interim, but I think it helped more so than anything else the ACC, because I think whether it's Miami or Clemson taking on SMU, the loser of that game gets in and should get in. I think they should get in. But I'm going to pose one back to you guys, because I have spent a lot of time on this yesterday too. All of the talk is about Notre Dame right now, right? And I started to really look at their schedule. Have you seen just how truly bad their schedule is? Forget about the fact that they're 10-1.
Right.
Arguably the worst football team in college football right now is Purdue on their schedule.
Yes.
Arguably the second worst football team in college football, Florida State, on their schedule. Okay. Virginia's been in the dumps. They've made improvement, not a good football team. The 2 service academies who they completely slaughtered, I think would beat half of the teams on their schedule. They beat Miami of Ohio, who they turned to 0-3 when they beat them. Stanford is awful. Okay. I don't think we're acknowledging just how bad Notre Dame's schedule really is. And then Northern Illinois, guys, Northern Illinois has continued to lose.
Sure. 5-5 or 5-6 or 6-5.
And they're playing
a
5-5 Southern Cal team as well. I mean, they're not that good.
No, they're pedestrian.
Yeah.
And so, and again,
that's a good point.
I look at their schedule and it's, the schedule's not very good. No, the schedule's downright bad. And I don't think it's been acknowledged enough. I don't think it will hurt them. I say all of that, and I'm going to follow up with this. When I watch them, I love the eye test. They're a good football team. I mean, they can run the ball, and they play great defense. And guess what? In cold weather and down the stretch, when you need depth and you need to hang into a game in the fourth quarter, you need those 2 things. And they got it.
You know, Luke's a team that I think might be sliding in the back door here with what happened over the weekend. Georgia's in the SEC championship game. Texas, they've not blown me away. Obviously, their schedule.
They're the number 3 team by default.
Yeah,
I'm with you on that. I'm with you. I'm serious. Like, I watched them, and I'm not wowed by them at all.
Not at all.
Yeah.
So Georgia, Texas, if they meet in Atlanta, can see Georgia winning that game. We talked about how everything else is playing out over the country. I can kind of see Georgia slipping in, get into that playoff, and before you know it, they're playing for the national championship.
They're the best team in college football if they don't beat themselves.
Yep.
Plain and simple. I mean, that's the bottom line. Now, when they don't play well, they become mortal, just like everybody else would if you don't play well, right? If Ohio State went out and played some games the way Georgia has this year, all right, which they haven't done, they would be susceptible to the same outcomes. And so, but listen, I'll say this too. As I mentioned with the Big Ten, I would also argue that the SEC this year has far more mediocrity littered throughout it, top to bottom, than it's had in recent memory. There's not been many world beaters. I mean, LSU, wildly disappointing. All right. Oklahoma, disappointing. Kentucky, disappointing. We know Mississippi State and Arkansas below average. Okay. It hasn't been a great year. We've seen the sloppiness from Alabama. If you were to sit there and say, who's the second best team in the SEC in terms of performance right now, I'd say South Carolina. And had Lenore Sellers not gotten hurt against LSU, I think they beat LSU. And now we're having a conversation about South Carolina, not just in the SEC championship game, but in the playoff. And the other thing, I think, as it relates to everything in college football, regardless of conference, going away from divisions has completely reshaped the landscape, because not all schedules are created equal. And if you now have the good fortune, like an Indiana has had, okay, or you didn't have to play Penn State, and you didn't have to play Oregon. All right. That's going to benefit you, and it has. Well, next year, that may not be the case for Indiana. You know, you look at Florida. Have you looked at Auburn's schedule next year? Look at Auburn's schedule this year, and then Auburn's schedule next year. Look at Florida's schedule this year, and then look at their schedule next year. Two entirely different slates of games that could have a dramatic impact. So the luck of the draw plays a role too.
So why is there a leveling out or a spreading of the talent? You've addressed this before. I always thought the transfer portal would create peaks with teams and conglomeration of talent. Why has that not happened?
Because with the elite teams, it's affecting their depth with their 3s and 4s, not necessarily their 1s and 2s. So what happens is a guy that's a 3 or a 4 for Georgia or Ohio State or Clemson or Texas, whoever you want to say, that guy is good enough to go and play and make a positive impact for somebody else, right? And so now all of a sudden that team becomes better and your competitive depth for the elite team gets diminished. And if you do that over the course of enough cycles, which we're now, 2 to 3 cycles in on this,
right.
You're seeing more and more competitive balance. I will also say this, and maybe this is just one of those years, guys. But for the first time in recent memory, at least for me, we've seen good elite caliber programs play bad football. Like we've seen Alabama play bad football. We've seen Georgia play bad football. We've seen Texas play bad football. We haven't necessarily seen it from Oregon. They've been the most consistent. Haven't necessarily seen it from Ohio State, but we've seen it from Clemson, right? We've seen it from Texas A&M. You know, the teams that are supposed to be the elite of the elite, they all have warts. And so you go into the game and you're like, oh, that team's got no shot of winning that game. You don't say that as often.
No. And Luke, you mentioned the mediocrity of the SEC. One of our viewers on our chat line wanted us to ask you about transfers and people hitting the portal with the mediocrity of the SEC as a whole. And this viewer specifically wanted to know about Alabama and DeBoer. Your thoughts about how active the transfer portal is going to be?
I think it's going to be monumental across the board for every team in America because a week from this coming Wednesday, we have our first ever early signing period that isn't the third week in December, right? Remember, we're now moving this to the week before championship weekend. I have had multiple coaches in my ACC primetime package who in football teams that we've had over the last couple of weeks that were coming off a bye week. And all of these coaches have had individual player one-on-one meetings with their current roster trying to gauge who's coming and who's going.
Wow.
Now, who in the world would have ever thought this is what we would be doing in college football during a bye week when you're trying to rest, get better, prepare for the next opponent, try and get ahead of it. Now what you're trying to do is trying to figure out, all right, do we need to replace you? Do you want to be here? We want you here. Actually, you're probably going to have to go.
Right.
The conversations that you're going to have because of now the scholarship limit at 105 and the walk-on program is dissolving. So now you're going to have very difficult conversations with program kids that live and breathe and bleed for the school that they're playing football as a walk-on, and you're going to have to tell them there's the door. Unfortunately, you're going to have to go. I think that this is the unfortunate byproduct of the world we're living in right now, and it's sad. It really is. And so, yes, I think you're going to see a tremendous amount of roster turnover, and the tampering that is going on right now has got to be maybe higher than it's ever been, and it's been high. And so that's going to have another impact on it too.
Good to think of. I don't want to throw my 2 cents in, Lugs. I go beef tenderloin for Thanksgiving. Heard your show yesterday.
Okay, yeah.
Heard your show yesterday. Turkey, ribeye, steak, some ham, but somebody threw the beef tenderloin in there. I'm a big fan of that.
Yeah, beef tenderloin. I think prime rib's another good one. You referenced in my Sirius XM show on Sundays. We have a password, a gateway question for callers to get on. And so the Thanksgiving month has been, or the month of November has been Thanksgiving themed. So we did best side dish. I think we did last week. I think the week before that was Halloween. So we did best Halloween candy or best horror movie. And then this week was best main dish. And we had everything from turkey, honey baked ham, pork tenderloin, as you mentioned. And then we had a guy called in with prime rib, and then ribeye, sliced ribeye, I thought was another good addition.
That was a good one. Yeah.
Hey, real quick,
awesome.
Very polarizing.
Yes.
Cranberry or no cranberry?
I love cranberry.
Big cranberry fan.
Yeah.
We're 2-0 on cranberry. Big. And I don't want any of this frou-frou cranberry. I want it to be actually in the shape of the can.
Yes.
Sliced, you know.
Dog food?
Yes.
Yeah,
and you slice it.
The more it looks like Alpo, the better I like it.
And you know, Luke, when you make that turkey sandwich on Saturday afternoon, you put a little of the cranberry on the turkey sandwich.
Oh, there's no question.
Yeah.
That's sweet and salt. Come on now. Let's go.
Beautiful.
What's your Thanksgiving Day look like in terms of an assignment? Where are you going to be?
I've got Virginia at Virginia Tech in Blacksburg. Should be cold and blustery for that one. Both teams just fighting and scrapping for bowl eligibility right now. Both of them are. So that's the one thing they got going for it. Both teams reeling right now too, though. But I actually get to fortunately, I get to be home for Thanksgiving. I'll drive up to Blacksburg from Charlotte on Friday morning and get back on Sunday afternoon. But yeah, I get the opportunity. My television load this week. We're dark for College Football Live. We're dark for Championship Drive on Wednesday. So a little more family time, a little bit of time off preparing some signing day things for the following week.
Outstanding. Happy Thanksgiving, Tom.
Yes.
Appreciate
Same to you.
We'll talk next week.
Thank
you, buddy.
Guys.
Appreciate that. Tom Luganbill joining us here as he does each and every Monday during the season, brought to you by River Bank and Trust. Welcome to Banking Above and Beyond. Local banking expertise, the newest innovations and technology, personal attention, genuine hospitality. It's all just part of the River Bank and Trust difference. And they invite you to experience it for yourself. Locations throughout Central Alabama, locations throughout the entire state. All right, Barry, when we come back, we got a Dreamland pick 3. Yep. We have got the Victorland 777 topic wheel that I know is very hot as well. And maybe touch on what the Phantom did, maybe.
That may be part of it as well. You'll have to wait and see. It's Longshore and McKnight, presented by Bud Light.
Is there a certain Ford car, truck, or SUV that piques your interest, but you are not quite sure if it fits into your budget? Or perhaps you want to upgrade your current vehicle, but you absolutely refuse to deal with the same old aggressive and pushy song and dance that is found at the average car dealership? Then Stivers Ford is here to show you a better way. Their knowledgeable and courteous sales staff, the largest Ford inventory in Alabama, and of course, price. At Stivers Ford in Montgomery, Price sells cars. 4000 Eastern Boulevard at the Troy Highway, or check out their inventory at stiversfordofmontgomery.com.
Some days you hit snooze, but not today. Today you have to go on a run to get burgers for the tailgate. You've got to haul something heavy, a cooler stocked with Bud Light. When you've got beer and football, nothing is hard, until the other team scores. Bud Light. Easy to drink, easy to enjoy. Enjoy responsibly. 21 plus, copyright 2024, Anheuser-Busch, Bud Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
Local banking expertise, the newest innovations and technology, personal attention, genuine hospitality. It's all just part of the River Bank and Trust difference. They invite you to experience it for yourself. Welcome to Banking Above and Beyond at River Bank and Trust. Locations throughout the River region, locations throughout the state of Alabama. River Bank and Trust.
Dixie Electric Plumbing and Air has teamed up for the 4th year with the Food Bank of East Alabama and Montgomery Area Food Bank in an effort to reduce the high percentage of food insecurity within the Montgomery and Auburn communities. For every new Dixie Cares Plan membership that is purchased, Dixie will be donating 7 meals to partnered food banks. Last year alone, Dixie donated 13,356 meals. Our goal for 2024 is 15,000. Thank you for choosing Dixie and for helping us make a difference within our community.
Okay, back at it here around about the bottom of the hour on a Monday. Man, it's been lively to say the least.
All right. You think it's been lively so far? Wait until we throw in the prospect of $50 worth of Dreamland barbecue into this mix. And believe me, Dreamland barbecue ain't nothing like them nowhere. We have this little thing we call the Dreamland Pick 3.
We do. And, Barry, speaking of Dreamland, we're talking about Thanksgiving. We mentioned it with Lugs. A lot of great side items that you can get from Dreamland, and just tell everybody you made it. Oh, yeah, this is my mac and cheese. Sure, you better believe it is. Awesome. So think about that on that banana pudding. Oh, man, you kidding me? So, get in touch with our good friends at Dreamland Barbecue. They'll make up those side items for you for that Thanksgiving meal. I can promise you that. All right, Barry, I think we have 3 finalists.
Okay.
This week. Let me check the names here. I believe it's Todd, Curtis, and Chris are our 3 finalists in our Dreamland Pick 3
Okay. All right.
contest. So we're going to spin the wheel. Gern's going to put, there are Chris, Curtis, and Todd. So there you see your names up there. Hey, Gern, spin this one good. Give it a good spin, and let's see who our winner is in the spinoff today.
Oh, I like it. Love it.
Uh-oh, it is Curtis. Curtis is our winner. Let's see what Curtis in the Dreamland Pick 3 had over 52.5 in the Indiana-Ohio State game. Had Kentucky plus 20.5 in the against Texas, and had Southern Miss catching 22.5 against South Alabama. It doesn't matter that they barely covered in some of these.
Barely covered?
That's not even a term. They covered.
Yes. Barely covered. That's an awfully strong card there.
That is a very strong card.
Yeah.
Curtis, congratulations. We'll get that Dreamland $50 gift card out to you. We'll get it in the mail today for you. Hopefully you'll have it by Christmas. Nah, just kidding. That's kidding.
Who in the world, Curtis? Yeah, how about some Dreamland barbecue for Thanksgiving? Yeah. There you go. That beats all that stuff. Curtis, how in the world do you pick a 1-9 football team to cover 23.5? How in the world do you say, oh, that's the one? That one's talking to me. 1-9 Southern Miss playing against 5-5 South Alabama. And Curtis says, that's a winner, by gosh. And he picked Southern Miss. They lose by 21. They're terrible. They're unspeakably awful. But the line was 23.5.
He certainly was. He knew something. He saw some value there, Bear. They call that value. And so maybe Curtis saw some value, and he went with the Golden Eagles, who are coming to Troy on Saturday, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep, the final game of the year. It is a 1:00 start time from the Vet. Looking forward to closing out the year with some momentum heading into the offseason for Coach Jared Parker. So that's a clarion call for the fans to be out there. So he gets Dreamland Barbecue.
Yep.
Out of a spinoff.
Mm-hmm.
I think we've only had one week where we haven't had a spinoff. And that was right. I think that was our buddy Neil last week.
Neil Shields?
No, Neil Armstrong. How do you forget
Armstrong,
that?
Yeah, I know exactly. So we've had a lot of spinoffs this year, Bear. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah.
And we love it. We'll have a Dreamland Pick 3 this week for Rivalry Week. You better believe it. Probably have one for the championship games as well that weekend. So you still have opportunities to get in on our Dreamland Pick 3 with a couple of more to go. But Curtis is our winner this week, and he will get a $50 Dreamland gift card.
There you go.
Before we go to the Victorland topic, Will, we've had some really good emails come in today about what happened last week. Well, what do you say we go to our Marguerite's Exquisite Jewelry email inbox?
How about this one from Coach? Coach says, good morning, men. John, can I get a little love on the nut lock of the year? What is the nut lock?
I don't think that's something I want to be a part of. Woo!
That sounds like a punishment, if you ask me.
No kidding.
He goes to the nut lock. Make sure to get it extra tight. Yeah. John, can I get a little love on the nut lock of the year and the Auburn Tigers? But they are still not any good. Barry, was Cam Newton worth $180,000? or is Jalen Milroe worth $1.7 million? That is a big NIL. That is from Coach. I had heard it was in excess of $1 million for Jalen this year.
Yeah, I'd heard that too. I know he's doing some sponsorships.
Sure,
one
he's
for a
working.
clothing company, I believe, and certain others. No, I don't. To answer your question, no. And Coach, I said there again. I hate to harp back to last year because I caught a lot of crap about it. I said Jalen Milroe is not going to win your team a national championship. He's not going to do it. Great young man, great athlete. He's not a great quarterback. He is not a great quarterback. That's why I thought and asked Luganbill about it. What about putting in Ty Simpson, who is a quarterback? Maybe not be as gifted athletically, but more of a quarterback. Maybe they don't have any packages available for him. Maybe they don't have anything that they're prepared to run. Who knows? But, he's making some pretty big money there. As far as your lock, Coach, we're going to get to that in just a moment.
Yeah.
Because Rex also has a very interesting email as well.
He says that pick six looked exactly like the one he threw last year against Texas. That tells you there has been no growth as a passer. Tom Luganbill used something with Milroe in the run game. I think he said it was the second or third play. I was tracking what Tom was saying about, the first 5 plays for Alabama told you all you needed to know about that game. And he said Alabama wasn't ready to play. DeVore did not have them ready for whatever reason, and he said it was obvious.
Well, Barry, the first 3 plays he talked about, the tight end completely whiffing.
That was Dupre.
As you can imagine, I'm watching the game with several of my buddies, and our reaction was all the same. I mean, 81 completely olayed this guy. I mean, guy just went right by him, and you're thinking, what is he looking at? The next play, Milroe.
And that was Stutzman. Was Stutzman, the All-American linebacker. He's not talking about some guy who's, a nickel back that they've got a special coverage on. This was the guy for them.
No doubt. And I'm thinking, is the guy confused? Has he not been coached? Is he looking somewhere else?
Mm-hmm.
The next play, Milroe, they call his number. All he's got to do is put his right foot in the ground, and he's picking up 25 yards.
Mm-hmm.
And for some reason, he wants to string it out toward the sidelines. 2-yard loss. Then the incomplete to Ryan Williams. You're right. Or Luganbill is right.
Yeah.
You knew right there. What's going on here? This team's completely out of sync.
Yeah.
And it never got in sync.
Well, he was talking about I'm talking about you, and you mentioned it, and Luganbill too, about the vision. That's Trent Richardson vision right there.
Yeah.
That's the man. I'm going to run up into this pile of 6 rather than that 4-yard gap I got just to the right of it. Milroe's that way in the pass game. He is not an intuitive football player. He is a tremendous athlete. You've got some guys out there, the Fluties and the Mayfields and guys like that are just intuitive football players, that are winning kind of football players. I want to say Tua was like that, who just kind of feels and knows where the ball is supposed to be. Milroe ain't got that.
No.
He is that. The pick six was a gift. A gift. You might as well put up, I've got a nice Christmas bow. Let me put it on it and hand it to you. Same thing with that Texas one last year as well. No growth.
No growth. None at all. And I think this transfer portal, Barry, I think it's going to be real interesting, particularly in Tuscaloosa. How many people are packing their bags? Not because the coach told them to leave.
Right.
But maybe they want to leave on their own.
Yeah. And Milroe, they're talking about Milroe maybe being a top 5 NFL quarterback, a top 5 quarterback in the NFL draft. Hey, serve it up. I don't think so.
Mel Kiper Jr. said that early this season. I said, Mel, maybe I need to get in your business because you're not seeing what I'm seeing. All right, the Phantom this week, Barry, another non-losing weekend. Don't you like how we define how we do? Non-losing weekend.
Some people would say, it's a winning weekend. Some people would say it's a losing weekend.
Yeah.
This is neither. This is a non-losing weekend,
which
some people might phrase that as a non-winning weekend, but it's all in the presentation.
Yeah, I'd like to see where I like to look at it as the glass half full.
Right.
Not empty.
He's been known for that.
Yes.
Mr. Positivity is one of the many nicknames that people refer to him by.
So started out with a tough one there. We thought Troy could keep it in the 10.5, but that didn't happen. So we had to take a little bump there. And then Coach, congratulations, Coach. I don't know if you went as far as to say wrong team favored. You're not going to need the 2.5. I mean, take them. They're there for the giving, but wrong team favored. Auburn wins the game outright. We called it. Auburn wins the game outright. And that was a cover there. Bama, we knew that was a loss there again after about the first series. We knew that was going to lose. And then Vanderbilt, we said it. We think this team can keep it. They're not going to get beat by more than a touchdown. And they didn't. They got beat by 7. They're getting 7.5. We're all good. So there you have it. So the Phantom, not a bad weekend. Still 3 games over 500. All good to go there. All right, Barry, what do you say we take a quick timeout and when we return? We got to spin that wheel. I mean, Curtis is just going crazy.
There ain't no reason not to. So we will hit it. In conjunction with Yellowhammer News, he's John Longshore. I'm Barry McKnight. It's Longshore and McKnight, presented by Bud Light.
Why Hands? At Hands Heating and Air, you get this area's highest ranked service provider with 24-hour repair service, no overtime charges, and their same-day service guarantee. Plus, instead of other companies' 30-day repair warranty, Hands gives you a 3-year repair warranty. Hands Heating and Air is here for you 24/7, 365. And service is not just something they do, it's their way of operating, for you in mind. All of Hands employees are trained to adhere to this standard. They work hard to ensure that this standard is maintained, and they are constantly looking for new ways to better serve you. Call Hands Heating and Air today at 508-5382. That's 508-5382, or find them on the web at 834hands.com.
Welcome to the holidays. They're officially here. Time for tradition, family gatherings, meals, and the annual scramble of searching for those last-minute gifts. Speaking of gifts, this season Budweiser's got your back. Head to the store right now and look for our Thanksgiving week specials. Why go all over town looking for that perfect gift when Budweiser takes care of everyone in one convenient ice-cold package? When you stock up on Budweiser with our Thanksgiving week specials, you'll have plenty to share with your friends and family. They'll all appreciate that Budweiser's brewed the hard way and has been for 140 years. We use the finest barley, malt, and hops grown in Idaho and Germany. We don't take any shortcuts when we're brewing. That's our tradition. So make the most of your holidays. Stop by your local store now for our Thanksgiving week specials. Grab enough Budweiser for yourself, your friends, and your family. It's a new holiday tradition everyone can enjoy together. Enjoy responsibly. Anheuser-Busch Budweiser Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
Shopping for a budget-friendly, reliable used car, or maybe a stunning new Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, or Ram? Well, in Prattville, it's always a process that starts with the team of professionals from Stiver CDJR. Thanks to years of experience helping others in the local community enjoy premium service, low prices, and access to a wealth of amazing new and used cars, it's safe to say that Stiver's Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram is the name to beat in Prattville. But hey, just don't take my word for it. Experience the Stiver's difference for yourself. Prices that will not be beat, a huge inventory, and knowledgeable, helpful sales associates. See why so many happy car and truck buyers shop at Stiver's CDJR, where price spells cars and trucks on Cobbs Ford Road in Prattville. Here we are back at it on the program on a Monday. I know we got a lot of topics on that Victorland 777 topic, Will. We probably should not delay any longer so we can get through as many as possible.
For the mental health of some of our viewers and listeners who are on the chat line, A, because they really, really love it, and B, because they need to focus on something other. than Alabama's shocking loss. It's a great big sun shining out there. It's beautiful. Clouds are out. Birds are singing. Come on, people.
Yeah, it is. Boy, look at all the colors on the wheel today. It is packed out. Gern, give that wheel a big spin. Pictureland 777 topic wheel. And it is going to end on
worthless. This could mean anything. Yeah. Worthless.
Well, I used pathetic earlier, Barry. So worthless is, well, you know where I'm going here. Bowl games. And tell me how Bama player, win or lose, Saturday afternoon in Tuscaloosa is going to really be overly excited when do they announce the bowl games? I guess after the SEC championship game?
After the conference championship games, yes.
Yeah. So they're going to sit around for a week, waiting around, knowing they're not going to the playoff, to find out they're going to the Camping World Bowl or whatever it's called. So what? Worthless. And I know what you're saying. Oh, there are programs all over the country that would love the opportunity to do that. Good. Good for you. Great.
This is Alabama's first 3-loss year since 2010.
Ooh. Did Saban know something?
Added to the pain and the agony of that was the fact that a certain other team in 2010 won the national championship.
Well, I can guarantee you that's not going to happen this year.
That's not going to happen this year. But we're seeing evidence now of the bipolar aspect of Bama fans.
Yes.
Man, the good times, the wins, the championships, the natties, the crystal, the coach of the year, the Heismans and everything. Man, you'll take it with both hands. Give me more, give me more, give me more. Little adversity.
Yep.
I'm out. Well, I am not signed up for this. I ain't watching them. I ain't going to the bowl game. I don't care if they play Illinois or whether they play the Chicago Bears. I am only supporting this program to my full ability when they're playing for titles.
I mean, Barry,
12 teams and we're not in it? Oh.
Barry, I've gotten texts this morning from people that I know, that have season tickets. Hey, man, you want my tickets to the Iron Bowl this week? I ain't going.
What?
Oh, yeah. Multiple people. And I went, well, guess what? I ain't either.
What is wrong?
Of course, my response is
today?
Sweet question mark. Driver question mark. Have not gotten a response back. So
something wrong.
But Barry, it's not just Bama. Ole Miss. You think their fans are excited about going to some worthless bowl game when they were thinking playoff? Maybe
Ole Miss is the poster child of going to worthless, meaningless bowl games.
But this year they're thinking playoff, and it ain't gonna happen. So they're thinking, wait a minute, we got to go to the Outback Bowl again, or Clemson going. These teams that thought they were going to be in it. I'm sure I'm missing a few others.
Oh yeah.
That will not make the playoff. I'm really talking specifically about those type of teams that thought they really had a chance to make the 12-team field that aren't. Bowl games, not going to mean a thing to them.
How about this? How about this possibility? Florida upsets Ole Miss. Oklahoma upsets Alabama. Auburn upsets Texas A&M. Did you realize a couple of things have to happen? That if Texas A&M upsets Texas this week,
yep,
that A&M could play in the SEC championship game. A 3-loss team could make the college football playoff if Texas A&M upsets Texas and then wins the SEC championship game. That could happen.
Yeah, one of the teams has 2 losses to 10 in Georgia.
Regardless.
You're right about that. So some bowl games going. But you know what, Barry? What's not going to be worthless, and we talk about this every year. We make the bowl season exciting because it's back.
We do it ourselves.
Bowl prediction contest is back again. We'll give you more information as we get closer in association with our good friends at Yellowhammer News. They're helping us put this on. We're going to do it together. It's going to be a ton of fun. Got a lot of great prizes out there for you as well. But thank you. We're going to go ahead and take the thanks right now. John and Barry, thank you guys so much for making the bowl season fun. That's what we're here for.
We do our best. According to Plainsman Preston, the rumor is if Auburn wins this weekend and gets to bowl eligibility, they would play LSU in the Texas Bowl. Anybody geeked about that? Well, you're a little geeked about it when it means you might win the Longshore and McKnight Bowl prediction contest.
You're right about that.
We're doing our part. We're doing our part.
And that's interesting because I've wondered, can 2 SEC teams play in a bowl game?
Yep, they can. It has to. I mean, it's not, and they're not slotted that way. I mean, it's not bracketed that way, but a couple of things have got to happen. Not only, this is another thing Lugs was talking about. We'll get back to it. Notre Dame, all they've got to do is beat a 5-loss USC team next week.
Brutal.
And not only will they secure a playoff berth, they can't get a bye because they're not in the conference. They can't ever get a first-round bye, but they would secure a first-round home game in South Bend. And Luganbill says their schedule is horrendous. Could you imagine Notre Dame getting hot and actually winning this thing?
Yeah.
John's right about this about the SEC. Georgia's in.
Yep.
And they'll play the winner of Texas A&M. That may be this loss for Texas A&M against Auburn didn't do a thing to them, really. Their goals are still intact. Texas, they win that one, huge, and they play for an SEC championship.
Yeah,
gotta figure that out.
That's going to be it's going to be an interesting rivalry week. All right, let's go back to the Victorland 777 topic. Let's spin that thing again. That was a good one, Worthless. I like that one. Worthless. And spin it. Oh yeah, you can hear it clicking away, and it lands on. Wow, NFL and Monday Night Football. Did the Cowboys really win yesterday? Did I see that?
They did. How in the world? They beat the Commanders yesterday. The big story yesterday was Eagles running back Saquon Barkley. Last night, the Eagles beat the Rams 37-20. Saquon Barkley ran for 255 yards. In that game.
You don't see that in the NFL very much.
He is as the 5th most ever. He is on track to becoming the 9th member of the 2,000 yards club in a season. 2,000 rushing. OJ's done it. Barry Sanders. OJ did it. Barry Sanders, Terrell Davis, and Adrian Peterson. The Giants lost to the Buccaneers. They're still horribly terrible. Chiefs beat the Panthers.
How about that? I mean, the Panthers, you scored too soon. You gave Kansas City the ball back with about 2 minutes. You knew what was going to happen. Come on.
Yeah, the Vikings beat the Bears in overtime. Titans beat the Texans. Let's see. The Saints didn't play. Nope. The Jags didn't play, so that's good news for all of us.
Here we have the Harbaugh Bowl tonight. Ravens at the Chargers on Monday Night Football. That'll be a good one. So they had to flip SoFi because the Rams played there last night, Chargers tonight. So they got to get all the Chargers logos in for tonight's game. That ought to be a good one. And, of course, Barry, this week, 3 NFL games on Sunday, a lot of college games throughout the week. We're going to talk about that probably later as well.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's try to spin it again.
What do you got?
We got a lot going on here on the wheel. All right, here we go. You know, I dubbed this last week. Some people don't like this term. Bama fans have used it forever. I said voodoo at Jordan-Hare. Night game, the only conference night game of the year at Auburn. That's a travesty. Needs to be more night games at Jordan-Hare. But the voodoo's there, Barry. I mean, they'll go up 21, then A&M fights their way back, but they found a way to win, and it was in that end zone. It's something about that end zone. The A&M player The ball hits him right in the hands. Boom. Dropped it.
Game over at that moment. That's got to be a bad feeling. And even Nick Saban on College Game Day, he's saying, look, fellas, I'm telling you, the voodoo is real at Jordan-Hare Stadium. And I'm watching that in my hotel room in Lafayette, Louisiana. I'm saying somewhere Danny from Margaritaville is smiling. He's not dead, but he said, I told you, Nick, how about making a field goal? How about designing a pick play for Roy was that in Jordan-Hare? I think that one was in Tuscaloosa. Was it voodoo and the comeback in Tuscaloosa? Was that voodoo? I get it. People say, man, weird things happen in Jordan-Hare. Saban says, I'm telling you, it's a real thing. Well, maybe. But you could have done something about it more than a few times.
Barry, I was just happy to know that we had referenced the Jordan-Hare voodoo earlier in the week. Obviously, Coach Saban, watching the show, said, I'm going to use that on game day.
Mm-hmm.
I like that. I'm going to use that on game day. Nick, thank buddy. We're buddies, Coach Saban and I. All right. Dreamland, Victorland 777 topic wheel. We can probably maybe at least get one more in. You never know. We might can get two. So spin that wheel.
It feels like we got a game-winning drive. Okay, we can maybe get two more plays in before the field goal here. Yep.
Here we go. Auburn is in Maui playing some
safely. Safely in Maui.
I understand no incidents on the flight. I saw Bruce Pearl in an interview with the beautiful scenery behind him. So Auburn got some basketball. I know Alabama has some coming up as well, as does Troy.
And Troy plays tonight. Troy plays at 7 tonight in the opening game of the inaugural Trojan Turkey tip-off against the Roadrunners of Texas San Antonio tonight, 7 o'clock. Auburn and Iowa State should be one of the great early games on the national schedule. Auburn is number 4, Iowa State's number 5. They play tonight at 8 on ESPNU, and Auburn is a favorite in that game. Next up for the Crimson Tide is actually tomorrow night. John, I'm loving this.
Okay.
The pre-conference schedules are tremendous. Tomorrow night, Alabama plays. They're number 8 in the country. They play number 7 Houston tomorrow night. That's going to be 7 o'clock. That's in Las Vegas. It's going to be on TBS. I'm loving this early basketball.
Man, there's some great matchups, some great games, and we talked about it. I think these matchups are what have people interested because they're playing quality competition and their football programs aren't doing that great. So Auburn and Alabama fans are tilting more toward the round ball, and I certainly don't have a problem with that at all. All right, let's try to spin it one more time. We'll save some hold them over if we don't get to them all today. But
all right,
what do you say? Let's go. We had a lot on the topic, Will.
Bunch today.
Yeah, so let's spin that thing. And it's going to land on Rivalry Week. Barry, we're going to talk a lot about this week because not only is it the Iron Bowl, but it's Rivalry Week all over college football.
Yeah, there's some rivalries that are by gosh rivalries. There are some that are not. For instance, in the SEC, Iron Bowl, rivalry. Egg Bowl, which is on a Friday this year.
It is.
Not a rivalry. Georgia Tech, Vanderbilt, Tennessee, Snorefest. South Carolina, Clemson, 2 ranked teams. That's a rivalry. Louisville versus Kentucky, Florida State, jeez, horrendous game there. Texas A&M.
But that Florida State game is big for Billy Napier. 7th win, beats your in-state rival. I mean, I think that could be huge for him. And I'm checking the numbers out. Florida's a 2-touchdown favorite in that game.
14.5 in that game. So some of them, they say, oh, it's a rivalry game. Georgia Tech, really?
Yeah.
Really? They call it that.
You know what? Somebody had Georgia Tech against Miami earlier this year when Miami lost the game. I don't think Tech can go into Athens and win. I think they can give them a game.
Right.
Georgia, an 18-point favorite in that game Saturday. But I do think some rivalries are different from others. I know they're trying to build this thing up. Ohio State, Michigan, certainly that's a big one. Maybe this year not as great. Auburn, Alabama. I think Florida State at one point in time was a really good rivalry.
Used to be huge. Notre Dame, USC.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Arizona State.
Is Southern Cal, UCLA. How can you have a big rivalry when you don't play that at the end of the year? I mean, it's like
that game's already,
Southern Cal looks at UCLA and goes, yeah, whatever. It's kind of like Oklahoma and Oklahoma State. So many. Yeah, we got to play y'all. Oh, yeah, okay. Well, I guess we will.
Well, lots to thank today. Appreciate Tom Luganbill from ESPN. Congrats to our buddy Curtis for winning our Dreamland Pick 3. And you know what Tuesday means for us. Tuesday, recapping this past weekend.
Yep.
With Brian Matthews, AuburnSports.com, Travis Ryer on YouTube. Whew, you don't want to miss it. That is must-watch television right there.
We got some topics we're going to carry over to tomorrow. One of them in particular I was hoping we get to today, but I'm glad we can save it for tomorrow because it will be appropriate then too. Probably all week for that matter. Maybe throughout the remainder of the year if Bama doesn't win the Iron Bowl on Saturday. Just a little teaser there. But you're right. Got some great guests tomorrow. I want the chats and the emails to continue as well. And, man, we're looking forward to it. It is, used to be a big deal, Barry. Iron Bowl week.
Let's get to it.
Yeah.
For our great producer, Gurn Jr. himself, John Longshore, Barry McKnight, presented in conjunction with Yellowhammer News. It's Longshore and McKnight, presented by Bud Light.